And a whole lot of people that I work with come to me and they've experienced a loss, a significant change in their life, and it's clear as day to me that what they're experiencing is grief. And they're like, "No, grief is when somebody died." And I'm like, "That's not the only experience that brings grief. Grief is like it's one of the most complex emotional experiences. It's not even just one emotion. And it's unique in the way it's experienced, but not unique in what can bring that forward for somebody's psyche."
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from all over the world to hear their personal journeys of self-discovery through the lenses of love, sex, and relationships.
Our mission is to show people that they're not alone and to inspire them to embrace their true selves so that together we can open minds and live authentically without shame.
We believe everyone's story is powerful and beautiful, yet it's important to remember that everyone does life a little bit differently and that the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect our own.
Additionally, we aren't doctors. Please consult a medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on the show. Enjoy!
Welcome to episode 440. We're Finn and Emma, and today we have a beautiful conversation with Anna. Anna was first on the podcast back on episode 231, almost exactly 4 years ago to the day. That was April 13th, 2022.
Which actually happens to be the day we're recording this, so...
I know, pretty crazy, right?
Exactly 4 years today.
It's been a big few years for Anna. They've recently experienced some major losses in their life, which led to a really powerful conversation about grief. And at the same time, they've made some really incredible positive progress in their mental and physical health.
Yeah, our conversations about grief in this interview are so powerful. And in some ways, this interview really normalized for me, not just non-monogamy, but also how intense and challenging life and the world are right now. But at the same time, that even with all of the hard we experience, there's also so much love and positivity. Anna also talks about their journey of exploring gender, kink, DS dynamics, and if you stick around for the bonus episode for our premium subscribers, we pretty much spend the whole time talking about orgasms, and Anna tells some absolutely fantastic stories.
Yes.
So if you're not already a premium subscriber, there really is not a better time than right now to go and sign up.
If you're not familiar, our premium subscribers get ad-free podcast episodes plus a new 10 to 15 minute bonus episode every week where our guests answer some fun extra questions and give us an opportunity to get to know them a little bit deeper than we do during our regular interview.
Really quick, in this one, so deep it's up to the elbow.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that.
Foreshadowing?
Well, maybe not quite the elbow, but you get the point.
Like Finn said, we do have a blast during the bonus episode, and we'd love for you to check it out. To sign up for the premium subscription, head over to our website, scroll down on the homepage, and sign up for just a few bucks a month.
And one more thing, Anna is also a therapist and the owner of Love Positive Counseling just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. As you'll hear in our conversation today, Anna is incredibly passionate about their work and helping people, so much so that they actually started doing coaching as well, so now they can work with folks who aren't just geographically located within the state of Georgia. So you can find more information about all of Anna's work and the team that they lead over at Love Positive Counseling on their website, linked in the show notes, or at lovepositivecounseling.com.
And with that, thank you one more time to Anna for coming on the show to share with us. For our premium subscribers, we're going to jump right into the interview. And for anyone else, we just go through a few quick announcements.
The first announcement is to just remind you all that we have a community. We talk a bit in this episode about community, but Emma and I lead a community of over 300 people from all over the world who socialize and support one another every single day. We host our community on a platform called Mighty Networks. We have monthly community support Zoom calls. We do monthly virtual workshops, and we have in-person events as well, all for less than $10 a month. Our next monthly workshop is coming up on May 27th. If you want to learn more about it and all of the other workshops we have the rest of this year, you can head over to the workshops tab of our website, and you'll also be able to see all of the workshops that we hosted last year and the year before, which you actually get access to the recordings of when you're a member of our community. So again, you get a whole bunch for less than $10 a month, and we'd love to have you come and join us. Again, you can learn more and sign up over under the community tab of our website. We'll see you there.
Next up, we also wanted to remind you about our favorite way to get tested for STIs. It is stdcheck.com. It is fast, easy, discreet. It's the service that Finn and I use. We've been using it for years. You've been hearing us talk about it for years. But when you use the links over on the resources tab of our website, you get $10 off making a 10-panel test only $129, and you support the show. So thank you in advance for using those links and knowing your sexual health status.
And the very last thing we wanted to tell you all is that we would absolutely love to hear from you. Please send us an email if you have any questions, comments, feedback, or best of all, you would like to come on the podcast to share your story. This podcast doesn't exist without people like you and people like Anna coming on to share your stories. So reach out and we'll make it happen.
And with that, let's go and talk with Anna. Welcome back to the podcast, Anna. We last talked to you about 4 years ago in 2022, and we're so excited to talk with you today and get an update on where life is. So welcome back.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you back. Emma and I both listened to our first interview this morning, and it's just super fun to come back 4 years later. I mean, we were about 4 years into our podcast when we started, and so it's like we're at the halfway mark. So excited to do it again. And yeah, maybe for anybody who didn't go back and listen, just a quick introduction to who is Anna and maybe what did relationshiping look like up until about 4 years ago for you?
Yeah. I am a therapist specializing in trans folks, LGBTQ folks generally, actually, and folks in poly and kink relationships. And recently, exciting news, I'm also coaching.
Oh, cool.
If folks don't need to address, specifically mental health, but they want to talk to somebody and get some guidance around any of those subjects, I can coach with anybody anywhere in the world. I don't have to worry about a licensing board. So,
Love that.
yeah. So that's my day job. That's what I do in the world. But me as a human, I've been polyamorous. Oh, I always struggle with the math. I think I did last podcast too, but
You said about 15 years last time.
I was going to say, I'm getting close to 20 at this point. I was like 18, 19, I don't know. So I've been polyamorous for a long, long time. Before that, it was serial monogamous. So not terribly surprising to me that I figured that out. I've been kinky even longer than that. And when I figured out my gender about 8, 9 years ago, I realized then that, no, I've been non-binary gender fluid since I was a wee child. So I've been, outside culture's norms for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I would love to if you're open to talking a little bit about it. We didn't dig into it too much in the last conversation. We talked quite a bit about kink and power dynamics in your relationships, but we didn't really dig into the gender piece. And I was wondering if maybe that's a good place to start today before we kind of talk about all the other changes that have been going on the last few years for you. So you kind of said like about 8 years ago, I think you used the phrasing, I figured it out. And I'm curious what that looked like for you.
So I had always felt fairly insecure about my overall appearance, my style, and I was going to sexy fun conventions and not really having as much fun as I would have liked. And so one year I was like, I am going to go all out. I see all these people wearing these fun, sexy outfits. I'm going to go all out. It was the most uncomfortable year of my life because it was all super fun.
Yeah.
And at the end of that convention, I saw a class with literally one of my absolute best friends now, but then she was just a presenter. And woman of size, larger set, in pristine menswear and long, fancy red nails and gorgeous red lips. And I was like, that's hot. And if I think that's hot, somebody else thinks that hot. I could do that.
Yeah.
So the next year, I literally cross-dressed one day at that convention. I hadn't told anybody about this plan, and I was planning it for 6 months. And lo and behold, all of my friends were like, "Oh my god, you are so hot."
I'm curious how you felt. How did you feel in it when you come out?
Oh, so much more confident. I mean,
Yeah.
part of it was literally the role play, right? Like, I wanted to look masculine, and so I forced myself to walk differently and so on and so forth. But then when I ran into my friends and they didn't recognize me at first until they made eye contact, and then they were like, "Oh my god, what?"
Wow.
Them just, like, fawning was so much fun.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
It's like you stepping into you was so just magnetic to them, right?
Yes. Yes. And, like, they had known me for quite a few years, so they knew that, like, I didn't fit gender norms really. But that was new to them. And over the years, learning about transgender, non-binary, and gender fluid and that sort of thing, like, I dibbled and dabbled and picked up the words, and I cross-dressed here and there, and I changed my wardrobe and gave myself more permission to be androgynous and that sort of thing. But it wasn't until my health made a shift, actually for the better, when the reproductive organs just started working for the first time in my 37 years.
Wow.
And I
Wow.
was like, "Oh, this is awful. The dysphoria is real." And so January of 2020 is when I started testosterone, and I only microdose, so I take less than half of the standard dose, but in 6 months, it made the menses stop, and I've never looked back.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that like, not only have you never looked back, but, like, it sounds like it really just it's you, like, it feels like
Yes,
you.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
absolutely,
Yeah, and what a
absolutely.
beautiful example of the fluidity there.
Mhm,
Yeah.
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 So I get to have the facial hair that I had always dreamed of, but then too, like, my skin is still really soft,
Mhm.
and it doesn't look all that weird when I have, like, bold nail polish on, and then it's extra fun when I go full drag.
Yeah, I bet. Cool.
Amazing. Well,
So,
s yeah. Well, thank
yeah,
you for sharing a little bit about that. I
Yeah.
really appreciate it.
Yeah.
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 absolutely.
And I think the other thing I would like that stuck out to me from your last episode, I mean, there's a lot, but one thing was you had, I think at that point, started nesting with your partner, like, days before we talked. So it
Yeah.
was, like, a little early to get the update on, like, how was that? But maybe we start there, like, how has nesting gone, and maybe what other changes have been going on in your life?
Well, nesting was hard. Less than 6 months ago, I asked him to move down to the basement and give me some breathing space. So that tells you how that's going. But the kids are now teenagers. I'm teaching one how to drive, and those relationships are better than ever. And I mean, lots of stuff has happened actually just in the last year. My mom passed away from breast cancer,
Hmm.
I'm so sorry to
and
hear.
less than 2 months later, my brother just died. We had no idea why until we got the autopsy. It turns out he had acute myocarditis, which is inflammation in the walls of the heart. And
Oh.
so he basically just went into sudden cardiac arrest, I guess, and they couldn't save him.
Wow, I'm
So,
so sorry. That's
Yeah, that's
2
yeah,
huge
a lot
losses.
of loss all at once.
in less than 2 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the last 6 months have been my absolute nightmare.
Mm,
But it meant a lot. I did the eulogy at his funeral,
Mm.
and it meant a lot to be able to do that for him, for his wife, for my nephew, because he's not even 18 months yet.
Oh.
Like, today, he's 17 months old.
Wow.
So, it was hard for all of us. And so not long after that, so that was September. End of October, I realized I've been with my partner for 5 years, and we've been in this house for 4, And we had tried the DS on and off again. And January of this year, I told him, all right, we're going to do it radically different. We're going to be like full 24/7. I'm going to be really firm. We're going to have protocols. I'm going to give it a year. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, I'm done. Like, DS is mandatory basically for me after all these years. And the way we were doing it previously was not working for me. And we had conflict cycles coming up that were like just unacceptable. We've been through 3 different relationship therapists. We're on the 4th now for various reasons. Not that they failed, just,
Mhm.
people stopped working at the place or they had to get out of the industry or something.
Yeah.
So, um, and then literally the night before my brother suddenly died, we got into a big fight and I took his collar away. And I was like, so after the worst of the grief around my brother passed, I was like, it's been 5 years. We're heading into the end of that year and I just took his collar away. Like, we're not gonna fix that in the remaining 3 months.
Mhm.
And so I'm in the process of separation. We're pulling apart, trying to figure out what that looks like. He hopes that there's connection and relationship without DS. I have my doubts, but we'll see. I got another couple of months to make that decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was, just to clarify, it was January of last year when you tried to do the full time, like, of
No, like,
24/7.
well,
Just recently.
2025.
2025, right, okay. So
Yeah.
yes, okay. So it's been, like, you were in that dynamic. It sounded like before that, it wasn't working for you. And so you
Right.
tried that in January 2025, and then you were hit with these awful losses as well, and the
Yeah.
relationship, like, struggling. And so then you took away his collar, and then that's why then he moved to the basement, and you're trying to figure out
Yeah.
the separation and what that looks like.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
5 years of the relationship, and when I reflect on it, I'm like, 3 of the 5, I wanted out, but I was giving it the time and the commitment to try and go through therapy. And I'd see a little bit of progress, and then the fight before my brother died, it was the same pattern all over again. I had changed my inputs, but I saw all the same stuff from him. And I was like, I'm not giving this any more time.
Yeah.
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 Not when I have this visceral experience of my brother dropping dead at 40.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm not giving it another 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Losses like that have a really powerful way of crystallizing the shortness of time we have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
big time.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear all the loss you've been going through the last year, Anna. I mean, your 2 family members and a 5-year relationship
Yeah.
that you're unwinding, like, that's not nothing. That's a lot.
Yeah.
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 And the funniest thing is I'm probably feeling the best I have in at least 3 years,
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
physically and emotionally.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
curious if, like, just, like, what do you th what do you think is behind that for you?
Well, a big part of it, I don't know if we even talked about it on the first podcast, but I was diagnosed with a autoimmune condition probably after that podcast, actually. I'd been acutely, chronically injured for years since early 2021, so March 2021,
Okay.
and went through so many specialists. And finally, I took myself to a rheumatologist. I didn't even get a referral. And 60 seconds, she diagnosed me with psoriatic arthritis, which means my immune system attacks the tendons in my body, specifically where they attach to the bones, and makes it inflamed. Anytime there's a little bit of inflammation, it thinks it's, a predator, a bug trying to kill me, and it attacks and makes more inflammation. And
Mm-hmm.
so, for years, I lived with chronic tendonitis in my Achilles and my wrist.
Mm.
And being able to get with the right doctor and get the right medication means I started biologics. And I've been walking unencumbered without mobility aids for over a year when I was using canes and walkers for like 3.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
What a shift. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And I'd been through so many treatments. None of them worked long term. They would work for a little bit because, they addressed the inflammation.
Right.
But as soon as I got a little inflammation again, it would come back because we
Right.
weren't addressing the heart of it, which was my
Right.
immune system.
The
Yeah.
actual, yeah. Yeah. And so now that you are addressing that, it's gotten so much better.
Yeah.
So much better.
Yeah.
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 And not being in on my good days, my pain was probably a 5. On my bad days, it was like an 8, and I was trying to survive everyday life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That has a toll on
Yeah.
your brain.
Yeah, on your brain, your nervous system,
Yeah.
the people
Yeah,
around you. I mean, it's
Yeah.
tough. It's
yeah.
tough.
I mean, that's a big part of why we bought the house, was I was living alone before that, and I couldn't stand long enough to cook. I couldn't do my own dishes. I couldn't scoop the litter boxes, and so they were helping me a lot, so it just made sense to cohabitate.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
now that I can walk and I can scoop litter boxes and I can cook, and the teenagers do a lot of that already,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't need all that as much help, and it's
Right.
Right.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm curious, just maybe zooming out for us, for everybody listening, what is your, the relational ecosystem look like? Just big picture, and then maybe we can get back into some of the details of it. I kind of skipped over
Yeah.
that at the beginning. So yeah, what's going on all around you?
Well, interestingly enough, 4 years ago, our first conversation, I was nesting. I only had the one partner, and that was weird for me.
Yeah.
Never thought I'd be nesting, never thought I'd have the one partner and be raising kids, and that's what it's been for 4 years. That's it.
Yeah.
I still know I'm polyamorous. I just, with the medical stuff and the American oh, and see, my partner had a big accident in June after we bought the house, and
Mm.
so I was helping him with recovery and raising a couple of kids, and I haven't had the capacity until
No.
literally now. I
Yeah.
got on the apps 6 months ago, maybe.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that you say that. The
Yeah.
idea that, right, because so many people talk about non-monogamy, polyamory as, for some people it's a thing they do, and I think
Mhm.
for a lot of us it's who we are, and so to be able to say, yeah, for 4 years or 5 years, I've functionally been monogamous, but that doesn't change who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love that. I love that, and so yeah, maybe I would love to talk a little bit more about when we talked a lot about the DS dynamic the first time, but I would love, 4 years later to kind of talk a little bit more about that, because you talked about how DS, almost needs to be a part of your
Mhm.
relationships, and it sounds like that's even more true today than it was
Mhm.
4 years ago, and so yeah, I mean, I'd just love to dig into that a little bit. What is the drive behind sort of wanting and needing the DS
Mhm.
dynamic?
I also, before you answer that question, I just wanna say that I love the cat interruption.
Yeah.
It's just, I know our listeners can't see that, but the cats make, appearances, and it just, warms my heart.
Larry the
Oh,
cat.
yes.
Yeah.
That's one of the other changes is our pet arrangement has very much changed. Year and a half ago, we got 3 kittens from the same litter all at once, and
Wow.
so y'all won't be able to tell the difference between the 3 gray tabbies. I can, and then there's Larry that y'all met before we recorded.
So there's 4 of
Oh,
them.
wow.
That's
Yes.
that's
Wow.
that's why there's appearances.
Yeah,
Yes,
they just keep parading through. I love it. I love it.
yes, yes. Um Okay, so back to the DS question. Yeah, October of 2024, friends of ours started a new MAST group, which stands for Masters and Slaves Together, in the region, and so I had been wanting to attend one, but the Atlanta MAST has been defunct for like a decade. But the national MAST organization wouldn't let them take it over because technically there was still an owner listed, and it had active membership for some reason, but they haven't been doing events in a decade, and so they had to set a new one. And we started attending those meetings and going to workshops more geared towards specifically DS dynamics and exploring particularly yourself and a lot of self growth in those roles and understanding like what brings you to those kinds of relationships. Do those relationships suit you? Why do they suit you? That sort of thing. And through that and then some other experiences, I stepped down from leadership positions in a couple of different organizations over the last 4 years. And I realized that I am just a natural leader. In school, every time there was a group project and everybody was being weird about being the leader, I'd be like, okay, fine. I don't want to, but I will. And that's been my attitude for like ever. And so I don't,
Relatable.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've never had this drive to be like all powerful leader. I just, if there needs to be one, I'm gonna be it. Right. And so I started to accept, like, I really need to embrace that I'm a natural leader. And some of my like top values as a person, which is what drew me to being a therapist in the first place, was growth. Like healing and growth are my absolute number one, first, always value. And so if a relationship doesn't involve growth, if the person I'm with doesn't value growth, we're not compatible. And what I learned about master and slave relationships that I had no idea about before was they share that same value, that personal and relational healing and growth is at the heart of those relationships when they work out well.
Mhm.
Certainly, there's people who don't do them well,
Sure.
but when you set out to do them well, that is the heart of it. And through that dynamic, both of you grow.
Mhm.
And it just made so much sense for how I have been my whole life.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm then curious, how did that transition then? I know you came to the decision to try to bring it into your current relationship, but like kind of for yourself, what did it take a little bit of time to sit with that, to figure out
Yeah.
what to do with it?
Yeah. Particularly around the language of master and slave. There's so many opinions on those particular words. I don't think I'll ever consider myself a master, but I did realize that a relationship would probably have more fulfilling dynamics for me if there was more DS rather than less,
Mhm.
if you will. If I had more authority over our shared decisions. I don't necessarily want to take away their authority. Certainly don't want to take their power. I prefer powerful and submissive partners.
Mhm.
I want them to make that choice and that to be. I truly believe that we choose love every moment of every day. We choose our relationships every moment of every day. And I want somebody who wants to be partnered with me to make that choice in their submission
Mhm.
every moment of every day.
Mhm.
And I'd rather it was at least a little over 50%. I'm not looking for 24/7. That's exhausting. That's unsustainable.
Yep.
But
Yep.
50, 60% of our shared experiences, that feels pretty good.
Yeah.
Where they just defer to me because I I'm definitely opinionated, and I like to think that I'm usually right. as most dominants would say. Um,
Well, and I love that you talked about this in our last conversation too, where part of what really makes these work for you is you can be in that dynamic, but also the person you with, like you said, you're not taking their power, right?
Right.
They can speak up and
The
almost,
distinction
yeah,
just feels
almost,
so critical.
throw
Yeah.
the
yeah,
flag and be like, hey, yeah, I know this is our dynamic, but like shit's real right now.
yeah,
We're no more game. Like we're not playing in this moment. And like that's a big part of it too, is right, the ability to step in and out of it, and both people have their autonomy.
yep.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm,
Yeah. I'm curious, you talked a little bit about the language around this, and that was something I was actually curious about because we've we haven't spent a lot of time in the kink community, but I know this sort of conversation about the terminology master and slave and a preference towards, I think DS is often a little
mhm,
bit more preferred just because of the historical connotations around slavery
yeah,
and racism. I mean, I'm just
yeah,
curious your like
Your thoughts.
your thoughts on it being a little bit more
yeah.
embedded in the community.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have certainly learned over the last 2 years or so that for some people, the concept of slavery is desirable. They want to surrender the greater concept of authority and autonomy to their partner being their master, and that is fulfilling, appealing for them in some way. I have a hard time imagining that I would be comfortable with that, but I may very well find myself connected and attached to somebody with that drive. And then that would be a different conversation. And many people have tried to figure out what is better language around that that doesn't connote the racism that it does for so many people. And there is not a consensus on that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so folks in the DS community have an understanding that they are not tied together inherently at all. And so it doesn't like hearing others use that language about themselves or even about others, it, I don't think twice about it.
Mhm.
I just know that for me and my style, it doesn't really apply,
Mhm.
you know?
Makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I appreciate you expanding on that a bit and just explaining for you what fits, and also explaining kind of the community's relationship with with those words and with terminology in general, and that
Mhm.
there isn't a consensus. I mean, it makes sense that there's not a consensus,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and it's helpful to understand.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm also curious, you mentioned stepping down from some leadership positions over the last couple of years and what that's looked like for you. Because last time we talked to you, you were really involved with Atlanta polyamory
Mhm.
and others. So yeah, I'd love to
Mhm.
hear more about that.
Yeah. So, what year was it? Probably 23, maybe 24. I decided to resign slash retire from being president with Atlanta Polyamory because we were making the decision to shift a lot of our focus in the community towards the leather community. We wanted to get involved with organizations and build networks in that community to support our growth in DS. We were really leaning into that. And I found that in order to have the time and energy for that, I needed to stop putting so much into Atlanta polyamory. And I went to Leather Leadership Conference, which has been one of my favorite conferences for decades. And that year, there happened to be like three different classes about styles of leadership and how to determine and cultivate the next generation of leaders and how to leave a strong legacy. And I hadn't known anything about that. And at that point, I'd been president for 7 years.
Mhm.
Like, you're gonna burn out in those 7 years.
Yep. Yep.
Hmm.
And COVID had really done a number on us
Yeah.
because we were entirely in person events up
Yeah.
until COVID. And so we had to pivot, and everybody in the world knows what happened there. Um, and so I was really struggling with, the organization is not what it once was. It is not as robust as it once was. And am I failing here? Am I failing to be a strong leader? And then I realized, like, my heart is not in it like it once was.
Mhm.
And the community members' hearts aren't in it because we're all burnt the hell out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so the organization as a whole needed a breath of fresh air. Like I did personally, which is why I was pivoting to the leather community, which non-monogamy is abundant in the leather community. So I felt right at home. But I realized at that conference that it was time that I needed to, for my sake and for the sake of the organization, because my fear was that if I stepped away, there wasn't going to be anybody to pick it up the same way I carried a lot of it. Right. And some of my fears were confirmed sitting in those classes. I learned that I'm kind of a unicorn when it comes to a leader. I can handle all the roles all at once because determined and stubborn, I guess. Doesn't mean I should, but
I was
I
gonna say,
can.
and that's how burnout, and that's where burnout comes from.
Exactly.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, so for me and for the organization, I need to retire. I need to move out of the way and let other people find the wind under their wings. And I'm glad to say that it still exists.
Mhm.
And their stuff is still in my basement. But
Yeah, you're never fully out of it,
Right.
but you can hand most
right.
of the reins off. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the in-person poly support groups still happen at my office. We're glad to host that space as a contribution to the community, and one of the therapists that works with us still hosts those more often than not, and we still get lots of referrals, and lots of times people on the board will come into my office afterwards just to catch up. So we're
Yeah.
still close friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
I love that. And I just, I don't know, there's like something in here that I think is really important to talk about, which is that, you talked a little bit about being a natural leader and, when school, when they're like, okay, group project, and somehow you float to the top. And it sounds like a little bit of what happened with Atlanta polyamory is it's like, well, there's this thing, nobody's really grabbing it. You grab the reins, and then all of a sudden, 7 years later, you're just like holding them like, and I think this is a thing Emma and I have both experienced over time, and I think we've seen a lot of community leaders where they see a gap
Mhm,
and they step in to think, well, they're like, well, I could do a little bit here. And then pretty soon you've got the world on your back
mhm,
and you're like, how I'm now doing all the roles. I don't necessarily, no one really trained me
right.
how to be a leader, how to run these things. And I'm trying to learn how to do that while doing it, while drowning myself. Like it's just, I just wanted to throw that out there. Like just to see all the other community leaders out there, whether you're the one who organizes your monthly potluck in your town of 10 people, like it's
Mhm,
those people often fall into that role because they're the only ones who grab the steering wheel. And
mhm,
and a lot of times it's imperfect, it's messy. Like you said, am I
mhm.
failing as a leader? Like, well, I don't know, maybe,
Yeah.
right? Like we don't often get
Yeah.
trained in how do you run a community of a few hundred or 1,000 people who all
Mhm,
have different ideas. Like that's tough work to do.
Mhm.
mhm.
Yeah.
In a very busy city, I will add,
Yeah.
like, there's a lot of polyamorous people, there's a lot of non-monogamous of all kinds
Mhm.
here, and there's, an abundance of kink and BDSM resources, and there's an abundance of gaming, tabletop gaming, and, like, all of these intersections, there's an abundance of things to do in those communities, and so it's not the one thing that people have to choose from.
Yep.
And
Right.
Yep.
so, we didn't have all 5,000 people that are in Atlanta who are non-monogamous. We had like 500, and
Yep.
they would come and go as they needed the support and the education.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that's also I think that's a really big piece of that too, is people, you know, I think non-monogamy, and I'm sure this is true with other things. I always, like, relate it to, like, model trains, right? But I think,
Yep.
like, let's say the model train community, I don't think it's as common where people are like, "Yeah, I'm really going through something with my trains, so I need more support today." It's like,
Right.
I'm just into model trains, and I'm gonna keep going because that's where my people are, but I think in non-monogamy, a lot of time, it's like, "Hey, like, I'm in it right now and stuff's going on," and then they maybe meet some friends, and then they kind of pair off and they do their thing, and then maybe they come back 3 years later.
Which is great.
It is great, but damn, is it hard to run a community
But
like
yeah.
that.
Yes. Yes. The overturn of the members is
Yeah,
pretty dang high.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I think there's another piece of this too. I just wanted to comment on is recognizing in those moments, like when you are burned out and you've done too much, or just like what's happening here? But it also then creates space for other people to come in and step up in
mhm,
different ways. And that can, a lot of times, an organization or a community needs that.
Yep.
Right. And it just is a natural, like, g getting back to the values you said at the beginning of, like, of growth, right? And that
Yep.
sometimes it takes different people to have that happen.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I think maybe just to build on the growth piece, I'm curious for you, Anna, you said, like, getting involved in mass, a lot of the principles and the mindsets in that are around growth, and that for
Mhm.
you, it sounds like your partners also need to be very growth oriented. And I'm curious, what are maybe some of the things you've seen yourself learn and grow over the last maybe few years? And maybe what are some of the ones that you're like, this is my next big one that I gotta work on.
Well, in my personal life, like identity formation and healing and growth around chronic pain has been a big one
Yeah.
Yeah.
with my, dealing with the pain and then the diagnosis and understanding, realizing with the diagnosis that I had signs and symptoms since I was 12
Wow.
Wow, yeah.
and I was 40 when I got diagnosed. And I had so much shame growing up. I would hide my symptoms because I thought they were a form of self harm and neglect. And so when a doctor would notice and refer me to a specialist, I'd go, but I certainly didn't seek out medical care. And they usually dismissed me. The psoriasis in my ears, they're like, oh, dry skin, put some oil on it. That didn't do anything. And I would just keep scratching and opening the wounds and trying to get people to not look at it. And then when the tendonitis started in my wrist at 16, and people were like, "Why is it so chronic?" I was like, "'Cause I won't quit using them. If I
Mm.
would just quit using them and let them heal, it'd be fine." No.
Yeah.
When it hit my Achilles and I had to start using a cane is when I finally caved to something is wrong here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I had a lot of work and internalized ableism to work out
Mhm. Mhm.
for the first year probably after that diagnosis. And truly, a couple weeks ago, I had a flare up. We had a bout of like 20 degrees morning, day, noon, and night here in Georgia, and it set me off into a flare. I was as bad as I was at my worst for
Mm,
about a week and a half, just a couple weeks ago. And it took just a couple of days for those, ableist things to pop into my head
Yeah.
and those fears of like, what are people going to think when I'm a larger person using a cane or using one of the drivey carts? I had gone through a lot of that,
Mhm.
but it came right back within a week. And I was like, dang, I thought I'd done all the work around this.
yeah.
Yeah, when it, like, slaps you in the face again and you're like, "No!"
Right. Like, no, I'm better than that. Oh, well, I'm still human. My nervous system learned that over 40 years
Yeah.
of my life, And to go along with the grief of losing my family members, I'd never had any significant deaths in my life until this past year.
Wow.
And so there was some grief connected to the chronic pain that I've been working on, but combo it all together and throw in my pain experience, like, grief is my next venture. That's my chapter, right? Like, I'm pretty dang cheerful at this moment, and a lot of people in my life are like, "Wow, you're doing so great considering." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I'm really damn resilient, and I've got so many tools, and I'm stubborn, so I use them." Um,
Yeah.
but it's absolutely true that I have a moment basically every day where I think about my brother. I think about my nephew not knowing his dad
Yeah.
and not knowing viscerally how much my dad absolutely adored him. And I think about my dad being lonely in a quiet house, and I don't have the time to be over there every day, and I have moments when I miss my mom. Mom was one of my favorite people on the planet, so of course I think about her often. Um, I guess the reason I don't look like a deeply grieving person is because I let those moments slide by,
Mhm.
and so I'm still actively in the grief work because it's an everyday experience. It's just very personal, very, very personal.
Yeah. And you have to be on your own journey with it at your own speed.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
I just I really appreciate you sharing that, Anna. I I am at a crossroads myself similarly. I lost my mom when I was 17.
Ooh,
I buried that shit for 21 years. So I am
uh-huh,
today starting to figure out how to grieve something that was 21 years ago. So to
yeah,
hear you talk about like, yeah, sometimes this comes up and I'm like, yeah, but man, do we have some tools to stuff that down or
oh, yeah,
to make a joke. Oh man, I can laugh about it. I can laugh it off, and
mhm,
but to actually sit in it, it
yeah,
it crushes. It just
yeah,
crushes me. Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, I
Mhm.
can.
Well, I just again, my heart goes out to you for that. That is
Thanks.
a path for not just, not just your mom, but your brother and relationships
Mhm.
Yeah,
all at once. So,
Mhm.
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
Grief work. Grief work is my work this year too, so I feel you.
I feel that's true for a lot of us Americans right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I think that's a
Yep.
really valid point. Like, regardless of loss within your personal life, the
Right,
state of the country, like, it just yeah.
mhm,
Grief is something that I love that we're talking about it now too, because as I mean, I know you're a therapist, you get it, but, like, it's not talked about often.
correct,
And so
right,
and it only looks theoretically one way, right? Like,
yep,
somebody's, like, inconsolable, and that's your idea of grief, and it's like,
yep,
sure, that is one thing, but
right,
there's grief looks so many different ways, and people handle it in different ways, and it has to be your own speed, and we don't talk about it. So
right,
then there's so much shame too if you do feel
yes,
that way, and,
yes.
it just breaks my heart.
And a whole lot of people that I work with come to me and they've experienced a loss, a significant change in their life, and it's clear as day to me that what they're experiencing is grief.
Mhm.
And they're like, "No, grief is when somebody died." And I'm like, "That's not the only
No.
experience that brings grief. Grief is like it's one of the most complex emotional experiences. It's not even just one emotion. And it's unique in the way it's experienced, but not unique in what can bring that forward for somebody's psyche. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, and so much like your point around, uh, the fact that grief must be, so when someone dies, right?
yeah,
That's the grief. That's when you're supposed to feel grief.
right.
But which, yes, of course, and there's so many other times in your life. I mean, I think one of the ones that's not talked about often is relationship separation or divorce and it's
Absolutely.
like, "Oh, you're supposed to be like, "Aren't you happy? Like, is better off?" And you're like, "Well, in some ways, yes, maybe, but it doesn't mean that there's not grief with the loss of this relationship."
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even leaving one job to step up to a better one.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's grief involved in that. I had a client who was terrified of having her first child and had convinced herself that it was going to go awful because all of her, known ancestors before her had had terrible labor experiences, and hers went perfect. It was textbook, and she felt awful, 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 like, a week after, and I was like, "Okay, some of this is obviously, postnatal hormones,
Mhm.
but I think she's having grief and disappointment that it wasn't awful."
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I
Right?
pointed that out to her, and she was like, "Oh my god, you're right." And when she allowed herself to take the space for that experience, piece of cake.
Yeah.
She did great.
Well, maybe that's what I've got coming. Maybe it'll be a piece of soup. I've been waiting all these years, and who knows? Maybe it's just gonna be fucking easy. I don't know. One can hope.
It looks different for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one in here too that I think it's overlooked, and it's come up a lot lately, like in our community, friends
Mhm.
of ours
Mhm.
too, which is the often when a couple transitions from their monogamous relationship to being open,
Mhm.
and even if both people are like, hell yeah, this is us. Why haven't we done this forever?
Mhm.
Like the loss of what you had, whether, some of these are 20-year relationships or more, right? Even if
Yeah.
it's a short one, like you had something and you've lost it. Like you
Yeah.
cannot put that toothpaste back in the tube. I mean, yes, you can go back to monogamy for sure, but there is still something that is lost in that transition. And I
Mhm.
think
Yeah.
that often gets missed. That it's like, well, yeah, we could both be really thrilled with our polycule and our partners and our life, but like we also lost the relationship we had.
100%. Because even if you do go back to monogamy and all of the everyday functions of your life look identical, you as people have learned and changed and hopefully grown in some capacity, and so inherently your relationship will be different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's just as you say that, it makes me think, one of the things is that we're working on a lot is sort of un unenmeshing in some ways and also like breaking up some of the codependencies we had.
Mhm.
But there are days where I'm like feel like a toddler. I just want like I want to be fucking codependent and I just want to do it because it
Mhm.
feels amazing and
Mhm.
it just
Until it
does.
doesn't.
And
Until it
I
doesn't.
understand, but like
But at times
Yep.
I just want it,
at
and
times.
Yep.
that's okay too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, just in my therapy on Thursday, that we were talking about my pain. So I focus on internal family systems in my
Mhm.
personal therapy right now.
Yep.
And the 2 weeks prior, when I was in a flare up, I had so much pain, and all of my parts had things to say, and I couldn't discern very many of them about, how they felt about my pain. And so this week, when I went back and I was not in pain, we took a chance to sit in and hear what they had to say. And my absolute youngest parts, inconsolable. Like, I was cool, calm in myself, but my youngest part was absolutely inconsolable. And like little kids, when they get hurt, they just want their mom. They don't have words. They can't say my knee hurts. It's just screaming.
Mhm.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's exactly what that part felt, and that part was active the 2 weeks before. I wanted that comfort of, like, a deeply close, attached relationship, and don't really have that right now, and so it complicated the experience of going through that pain again,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
learning that in therapy this week, I was like, "Wow, no wonder I had so much difficulty with this pain coming up for a week."
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't just the physical hurt.
Right.
it was the decades of emotional stuff that is, and then the grief. Like it was
Yeah.
just a melting pot
Yeah.
of, oh boy. Okay.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah. The human psyche is fascinating.
I
I was
know,
gonna say,
right?
man, it's a wonder we get anything done some days.
This is why I study it day in and day
Yeah.
out.
And this is why we all have coping mechanisms.
That's right. This is why
Mhm.
yeah, this is why I locked that shit away for 21 years, because you
It's
know,
hard.
you gotta function.
It's
Yeah.
hard.
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
hard.
it's hard.
Yeah.
Indeed.
We covered a lot of ground today. I'm curious if there feels like anything else that we haven't that you'd like to share.
Oh my goodness. Um, I think the only other thing I might share is kind of going back to the larger world around us.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And one of the other struggle pieces for me personally, but also like in my network, in my corner of the universe, is the economy is so screwed. I'm seeing so many people struggling to get like bare basic needs, much less the like to have. And to combo that with all of my grief stuff, that was big too. So I'm so grateful to say that still in business, still in the same office, still have the same 10-year lease. It's awesome. It gets better by the year as we add more people to the team. And there were a couple of months where I worried I wasn't going to be able to do that. I wasn't going to be able to pay the rent.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And after 11 years of steady career and successful therapist and clinical supervisor and all of that, major imposter syndrome showed up.
Mm.
And thankfully, that's making a turn for the better because I have incredible connections that love what I do in the world and love me. And for folks who don't have that privilege, it is so, 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 so deeply hard right now. So deeply hard right now.
Mhm.
I've again grateful for the things you keep saying on
Yeah,
it,
I'm so
because
glad you said that.
imposter
Yeah.
syndrome is such an asshole, because like like
Mhm.
you said, you could do like 99 out of 100. You're just crushing it, and then that one
Mhm.
is like, yeah, but you're a failure. You don't actually know, and you're just like, wait a minute, I did this for 11 years, and
Mhm.
now in this like crazy economy with a crazy like socio-political swirl around us,
Vortex.
we're struggling, and it's like, well, why
Mhm.
I shouldn't be struggling. And it's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if you're not struggling.
Yeah, really. Like, that's I kept coming back to that, like, that was my number one coping mechanism, was this is not me, okay? This little gremlin in my brain is not me, it's the economy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I happen to be one that is blessed with intergenerational wealth, like, my dad's the one paying the mortgage on the house because the business can't, support that level of income anymore.
Yeah.
So be it. He can do it, and he's glad to do it,
Mhm.
and I'm
Yeah.
so incredibly grateful.
Mhm.
Well, and I love
But
too that, right, like, I appreciate you saying that, but,
Yeah.
like, at the same time, what you get to do then is continue doing work that's helping people,
Others.
right? And I'm
absolutely.
right, and I guess I don't know this for sure, but I imagine, right, making that work accessible, right?
Yes.
What are ways we can create support for people who can't afford it, right? And I
Mhm.
think it can be easy when people look in from the outside and be like, well, my therapist is making all this money. They make whatever $200 an hour, but I'm struggling.
I
But it's like,
I w
yeah,
if
right. I
that, yeah.
wish. Yeah. And I think that it can be really easy to look upstream and think that the people upstream are doing great. But the reality is, like, I think in a lot of these marginalized communities, everybody's kind of taking a bit of a hit to
Absolutely.
float everybody, and
Yeah.
it's hard.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that you have the support from your
Totally.
dad and he's willing and able to do that so that it's
Yeah.
like that's what helps spread throughout the community. Like him helping you
Yep.
with that helps you spread through to
Yep.
more people and make mental health support more accessible to people and all of these things. So it's just acknowledge the privilege in that and
Mhm.
how it helps the
And,
community.
use it for good.
Mhm. Mhm.
I love it. Well, I appreciate you
Mhm.
sharing that. I think
Absolutely.
this whole conversation just feels to me like a normalization of how fucking hard things are, how hard grief is, how hard the world around us is, and that we're all just figuring this out. We're going through it.
Mhm.
Our you go to therapy every week. Your therapist is going through it too,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
They pull their shit together for 50
Absolutely.
minutes, but they're going through it too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
the humanity, the
Yeah.
humanness of our conversations. So
Yeah.
thank you, Anna.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you again for everything today. We're going to transition to the bonus questions for our bonus segment in just a moment. But just wanting to end this episode here and just say thank you again. And we hope that there's a third time in another 4 years or whenever that
Or
time,
maybe less.
whenever that time feels like it's
We're entering the dating app phase, so that's
Right.
that's gonna be juicy.
Adventures are coming.
right,
They're on their way.
right. Yes, the dating app and the grieving phase.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
both.
that's a mix. Okay.
I was gonna say, I think there's gonna be some sobbing orgasms in my future.
Oh, the sobgasm. Nothing like a good
Yes.
sobgasm. Perfect. Well, yeah, again, thank you, Anna. And yeah, for anybody who's a premium subscriber, Anna has agreed to stick around for some fun bonus questions. If you're not a premium subscriber, it's really easy to do so. You can find the information right on our homepage for just a couple bucks a month. So thank you to everyone for supporting our work and for supporting Anna's work. And yeah, any final words before we let you go here, Anna?
No. Other than enjoy your sobgasms, I guess. That's a great word. I'm stealing it.
I think so, yeah.
That is a great word.
Everyone go have a sobgasm. Just pull over if you're driving before you do.
Yes. Yes.
All right, well, have a
Do not operate heavy machinery.
well, sobgasm. Exactly. Yeah. Just why is that crane just oof, oof, yeah. Thank you, Anna, for the bonus questions here, but also for coming on, for sharing with us, for all the work you do, for all the support you give to the community. And
Absolutely.
just thanks again.
Yeah.
You're welcome. To the universe.
To
the
the
universe.
universe.
I truly believe that I've been called to this work from a young age, and so I am honored to do what I do.
I love it. Well, thank you
Yeah.
for sharing it with us, and have a wonderful day.
You as well.
And we're back. Thank you so much, Anna, again for coming on and updating us. It was lovely to talk with you. And a quick reminder to anyone listening to go check out the podcast show notes for links to Anna's work as well.
And a quick reminder to everyone listening that you definitely want to go check out the premium subscription
Yes.
to get a few more bonus questions with Anna. Again, we have a blast. It is a great conversation. So go sign up and you can keep the party going. And again, thank you from my side as well, Anna, for coming on, sharing, and for all of the fantastic stories. We can't wait to have you back on to do story time with Anna
Again.
Soon. Yeah, soon.
And next week, we're back at you. Guess what? With another interview. This time, it's with Pandora and Hesed. You can come and listen then.
We'll
Yeah.
see you then. We'll
Bye.
see you next week.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening.